Hello, everyone. Welcome to another beautiful day with us on Live with Lloyd. I'm your host, astronumerologist Lloyd Strayhorn. First of all, I want to thank all of you. I'm hoping that today should be okay in terms of being able to see me. I'm hoping, let's see. I'm able to see myself. If you can see me, please let me know. If not, then I'll keep going. But anyway, I do want to thank you for joining us on this Monday. It is a holiday. It is Indigenous People Day, though we used to call it another name. But anyway, today the topic is what's in a name, and I will explain it in a moment. But first of all, let me do the forecast for today. It is Monday, the 13th of October, and the sun is in Libra, the moon is in Cancer. It's a 1 universal month, a 3 universal week, a 5 universal day. And for those under the signs of Gemini and Virgo, all born on the 5th, 14th, or 23rd of the month, this is your day. Sponsors are brought to you by Brother King Simon. He has a celebration coming up on November 15th and 16th. So for those who would like to be in attendance, I think he's put 30 years in business. He's been doing this a while. He will be at Nicholas Brooklyn, who is also one of our sponsors, celebrating over 50 years in business at 1396 Fulton Street. This Saturday, they're having a kind of a fitness class. So for those of you who want to get in shape, I mean, you ain't got to be high kicking like this brother here, but for those of you who want to get in shape, this is a good time. Also, my good friend, Uchenna Hackett, his book, Soul First, is available online. Just go to Amazon. The ebook, I don't think the book is published yet, but you can get the ebook, okay? And so this will give you an idea of what it is. Also, Miss Kimberly, Manifests on Purpose. She has published her book herself that is now out. And so for those of you who'd like to get it, just purchase it, read it, send a review, email your screenshot along with your business, and she will give you a complimentary report. She's also developed a companion book too, called the Business Playbook. For those of you, a lot of people have been laid off recently. Some of you are kind of like, don't know what you kind of want to do after this, if that's the case, which I hope not. But if for those of you who do this guide, this playbook will be a very handy reference. Also, Melinda Valentine is giving a discount, especially when you purchase her book. In fact, she has 4 books out, each reflecting a season. Right now, we're in the period of air. And so don't forget, she has signs that go with the other elements of earth and water. And of course, not to leave out her sign, the element of fire. So for those of you who want to get it, please do. And also Recept, one of our sponsors. In fact, if you click on here, you'll get a discount on the code. Also, please pick up a copy of, it's available on Audible, Knocking from the Inside, an amazing book. And in fact, Jackie and Eric will be doing a kind of a workshop on the 8th of November. And so should be on talking about that at some point too. Anyway, before I get into this, let me explain. I figured out, there's so much to talk about, right? So for some reason, it hit me today about, why don't I do the name? And in doing the name, I've always told people, or at least the students I teach, and people in general, there should be several questions you should ask about your name. 1, who named you? 2, why did they name you? And 3, what does the name mean? Well, that will give you a clue. Now, I've been doing numerology for decades. There are things that we analyze, which is the first letter of your name, which indicates your cornerstone, the last letter in your last first name that indicate your capstone, as they call it. Then there are the vowels, then there's the consonant, or the soul urge, as they call it, or the personality. But because when I deal with people here in New York, people are not interested in these concepts other than what does it mean. Now, I've come across something I think has never been done before, at least in the way I do it. So what I want to do is also do a research. Help me out. I'm working on a project, and this will be very, very important. And what it is this, that I'm using, there's systems that I prefer to use. When I'm doing a session, I prefer the Chaldean. Now, King Simon, he does both. There's a couple other people that does both systems too. But when I'm reading a person, primarily it is more for the system that goes from 1 to 8, the Chaldean system. However, to keep it simple, and I want you to participate with me this evening about doing your name, is this system. This is the Chaldean system. Excuse me, the Pythagorean system. Now, this system is easy, and the reason why I do this is because it really lays out the name in a way that's very easy. As you see, if you're doing a number, all you have to do is count from 1 to 9, because the numbers only go from 1 to 9. And so the title of this is What's in a Name, because Shakespeare, in one of his plays, I forgot the name of it, but his thing was, what's in a name? The response was everything. Well, to me, as a numerologist, it denotes your talent, your gifts, your skills, your abilities. But more importantly, in most cases, it gives a clue as to the zodiac sign of one of your parents or the dates of birth, which is what I'm going to explain. So what you do is get a pen and paper to participate and see if your name fits. And what you do is see if the letters correspond with the numbers. And from there, what you do is add it up. So, of course, I took my name. Every time I do this, I always start with me, because somebody say, what about you? Well, under the Pythagorean system, my name, Lloyd, adds to 23. 2 plus 3 is 5. Now, astrologically, 5 is governed by the planet of Mercury, and 5 rules Virgo, and it rules Gemini. And in the case of myself, my mom was a Virgo. And no, although if I use the Chaldean system, which is a 9, which I prefer, 9 governs Aries, my father, Scorpio, my brother, and a minor way, Leo, my sister. So I want to see, I don't think I've ever had any book that I can remember in my vast collection that explains that your name will tell you not only the people you attract to you, so that means I would attract Virgos to me, Geminis to me, or people born on the 5th, 14th, or 23rd. For example, my brother is born on the 14th, 1 plus 4 is 5. Of my children, 3 of them are Virgos, like my mom. So what I did was I took some other names too. I took Cynthia. Now the name Cynthia under the Pythagorean system adds up to 37. 3 plus 7 is 10. 1 plus 0 is 1. So does that mean in the case of Cynthia, or most Cynthias, that one of the parents could have been a Leo or an Aquarius, or in a minor way, an Aries, or born on a date that adds up to a 1 or a 4? In the case of Eric, for example, when I did his name, the name adds up to 26. 2 plus 6 is 8. Does that mean that one of his parents is a Capricorn, or an Aquarius, or born on the 8th, the 17th, or the 26th of the month? In the case of Jackie, Jazz Aphrodite. Now, this is not the original way she spelled her name, but this is the name she projects now that adds to 34, which is very spiritual. So it will attract those under the signs of Pisces, Cancer, or born, or dates that are born on that adds up to the 2 or the 7. Now, what is interesting is this. When I take Eric, this is Eric, the astrologer. His wife is born on the 26th day of the month, which I think is interesting. So I noticed that either the parents, I'll either catch one of the signs or the date of birth, or I'll find that it comes through their lineage in terms of their family, their wives or children and things of that nature. So what I want you to do is participate with me in doing this, because this is my research. As I said, I'm working on an interesting project. And this is something I noticed. And what strikes me is I've noticed that a lot of people, a lot of books don't tell me this. So I'm saying, is this something I got on my own or whatever the case is? So being that said, what I'm going to do is show you this too. So you got an idea. So in the meantime, if you can get a piece of paper or pen and paper, write the numbers from 1 to 9 across the top, fill in the alphabets, then transpose your name and see if it fits. And here is going to be a guide to help you. This is a guide right here. Okay. Now, if you look at this, this is a breakdown where I break down by the numbers. So if your name adds up to a number 1, I could have done 11 and 22. I should have done that. But right now, my goal is to keep it simple, because an 11 adds up to a 2. The master number 22 adds up to a 4. The master number 33 adds up to a 6. So just keeping it simple. So if your name adds up to a 1, it tells me, first of all, it's ruled by the element of fire. It tells me one of your mom or dad could have been a Leo or an Aquarius. And it doesn't have to be the mom or dad. It could be the brother, the sister, the husband, the wife, the children, all born on one of these dates. So as you see, I have it listed from 1 all the way through 9. So 2 is ruled by the moon, which is water by element. Cancer is the zodiac sign, and any date adding to a 2 or a 7. If you look at 3, which is Jupiter, that's fire, and that's governed by Sagittarius and Pisces. If you look at Uranus, which is the 4, and that's Uranus, the sun. In other words, 4 is an interchangeable number of the 1 that's governed by the sun, which is complementary to Aquarius. However, because of this newfound planet Uranus, they reassigned Saturn from Aquarius to Uranus, which is the number 4. 5 is Mercury, 6 is Venus, 7 is Neptune and the moon, because the 2 and the 7 are interchangeable. 1s and 4s are interchangeable. 2s and 7s are interchangeable. What do I mean? Well, the 1 and the 4 are your sun numbers. The number 1 governs the summer side of the sun, and the number 4 rules the winter side of the sun. Then on top of that, you'll find that in the case of the moon numbers, the number 2 rules the full side of the moon, and the number 7 rules the new side of the moon. So, so this is what I'm looking at. So anyway, these are all the planets, including the newer ones, such as Uranus and Neptune and Pluto. Okay. And so if you do this, I would be interested to see if any of this matches your name. And so what I'll do is when I open up the phones, the comments, it'll be right there. But again, and here's what I'm saying too. There's another way I also read the name that is not normally, shall we say, traditional. So we see. So for example, if you look at the bottom name, Jackie, right? 1s, 3s, and 9s. So each number is ruled by an element. The 1s is fire numbers, the 3s are fire numbers, the 9 are fire numbers. So if you're looking at a person with this name, you know right away, fire is proactive. Fires don't just sit around. They're not in the pity parties. It's like, okay, Stray, what you gonna do? How you gonna move with this? That makes a difference. Then if you look at Eric's name above her name, he has 3 fire numbers and an air number, which is kind of complementary. If you look at the name Cynthia, hers is a little bit more balanced. She has 3 fire numbers. She has 2 air numbers. She has a water number and an earth number. So her name is actually a mix of all 4 elements combined. In my case, Lloyd, you got 2 fire numbers, an earth and a water number, and an air number. So I have also, like Cynthia, all 4 elements in my name. So this is how I read the names. I mean, there's the traditional way, again, the cornerstone, the destiny number, the vowels and the consonants, all that is fine. But this is a way that I can describe a personality that seems to be a bit more in keeping with what I do. So in light of that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my comment section. And I do thank everybody for joining me. And if you do your name, please let me know. Eartha Pierce, good evening to you. And blissfully, thank you. These are all the people that come every week without fail, especially Melanated 8. She's definitely there. And for Jazz Aphrodite, I need to always thank her for being very much on point. And please get those thumbs up. I understand it has to do a lot with the algorithms, okay? So if you've done your name, and Letitia said we can see you, thank you, because the last couple of weeks, I think because I was pushing too many buttons, I think that's it. But thanks, Sister Maya, too, very much. Charlene Adams, she had a birthday on the 10th. I think I gave you props. I should have called you on that day. So it's on me. There are people who have supported me from day one, and I do thank all of you very, very much. Good. Okay. Yep. Oh, listen, there's interesting. I saw a show that emanates out of London, and they had this astrophysicist. He actually runs, or used to be the head of the planetarium here in New York. And so what's interesting, they always have an astronomer analyzing astrology. I've never seen them have an astrologer analyze astronomy. And of course, he says, well, it doesn't exist. It's kind of like, poo-poo and whatnot. Well, astrology is hundreds of thousands of years old. When I had a show on WBLS, WLIB in New York, I had Dr. Ben Yekin, and one of the most preeminent, shall we say, researchers and historians there is in this country, probably around the world too. And when I had him on my show, he explained that when he went into Egypt, there were the hieroglyphs featuring all of the zodiac signs. So if this is much to do about nothing, why do all these signs exist? Why do there countless books every single year for decades and decades and decades that talks about astrology or published books on astrology? For example, this is a moon book. This is something I use often when I'm making an assessment where the moon is and doing things like that. There are astrological clues, but he kind of made light of it, that it was not serious, that it was like, oh, if you believe that, you're pendejo, which means, you kind of go for the okey doke. But I tell you this, why does it still exist if it's nothing? Some people would say astrology and numerology are pseudosciences, yet they've been around for hundreds of thousands of years. Pseudosciences don't last that long. This is the thing to understand. So I hear what people say, okay? I get where they're coming from, but believe me, numerology and astrology is old as Methuselah, all right? And so that's all I can tell you. So it's interesting, because people want to get into debates. Well, you should get in. I don't like debates. I mean, if I can debate, I will hold my own. Let there be no question, because I've been doing this too long. I bear witness to too many things. I wrote books. My book that I wrote 45 years ago still sells to this day. If I did not have something worthy of a universal principle, the book would have flamed out in a couple of months. But 45 years later and counting, my book, Numbers in You, still sell. So, and by the way, I'm going to promote myself, which I rarely do. So also pick up a copy of my book, Numbers in You. I've written several books, but this is the one that you can find on Amazon, along with 3 of the other books that I make available. Okay. So anyway, I want to say all to my regulars, Vanetta Sutton and Cece, naturally, and Deborah and Queen D. this is very nice. So if any of you have done your name, and this is my daughter, one of my favorites. I got 3 girls, all lovely. So if any of you have done your name or would like to do your name, tell me. Now, I know there are like, what you call it? There are kind of names that you have, kind of media names, internet names, Facebook names that you use. So for example, this is Blissfully, all right? So now her name is Cheryl Renee Blake Lee, okay? And it means beloved, and I was named by my mother. So she knows three of the things. One, who named her mom. Now, what I don't know is why did they name you that, which is none of my business, and what does the name mean, okay? But she knows it means beloved. So I do know this under the Chaldean system, and see, I'm more into the Chaldean more than anything, but I wanted to keep it simple for those of you who are going to do the name. And let me put this up one more time for people so you can see it. This is the chart that you go by, right? This is the chart. And just look at all you got to do is write the numbers from 1 to 9. Now, this makes an interesting conversation too. Let's say you're meeting a person, going on an interview. If you know the name of the person you're about to interview or take out on a date or just meet, all you just do is write the numbers from 1 to 9. Technically, you should have your names of the person written out by 1 through 9. Then you transpose the letters in the name. The reason why this system is so popular versus the other system is because it's in lockstep with the numbers from 1 to 9 itself. For example, the letter I is the 9th letter. The letter R is the 18th letter. 1 plus 8 is 9. If you look at Z, that happens to be the 26th letter in the alphabet, and 2 plus 6 is 8. If you look at the letter M, that's the 13th letter, and 1 plus 3 is 4. And so then there's another way that fascinates me with this too, is you can go by association. So for example, if you look at row number 9, I think of Internal Revenue. If you look at row number 4, that's the Department of Motor Vehicles. If you look at row number 6, it's Fox, F-O-X, like an animal or a foxy person, or whatever the case is. So that's why this system is easy to teach. So when I first teach, I always use this system first. And then when they're ready, then I take them to the next level. Now, which is older? Is it the Pythagorean or the Chaldean? The Chaldean is much older. In fact, it comes from Chaldea, that part along the Nile. And but what happens is when I first started, I used the 1 to 9 system. In fact, when I found out about the Chaldean system and it had only 8 numbers, I said, nah, man, you got to have 9. But they held the 9 in such reverence, such high esteem that they didn't use it. However, if the name added to a 9, then use it, but they wouldn't do it. So primarily, this system is very, very good. With Chaldean, you more have to memorize the system, okay? So but that's how we do it, all righty? So let me get back to looking at the names. And also if you want to mention your birthday too. But I was more curious about your name. And if you do your name, does it A, match up with one of the designs? Again, this is the chart here that if the name adds up to a number 1, it means one of your parents could have either been a Leo or an Aquarius or born on a date. So the beautiful part is this is why I call it astronumerology. This is why I kind of pioneered this whole concept of blending both astrology and numerology together, because I couldn't understand if a fire sign got with a water sign, why are they cool, such as Angela Bassett and Courtney Vance. But then Angela Bassett has a fire sign with a water number, and her husband is a water sign with a fire number. And so this is what makes the exception. So if you can screenshot these, take a picture of it, and analyze your name, this will kind of tell you. And then again, too, the elements explain. Fire is very passionate, proactive, get up and go. Water is deeply intuitive, sensitive, emotional, things of that nature. Air is more intellectual, reasoning, the powers of deduction. And earthy people, they're just very pragmatic. They're very grounded. They're very down to earth, as they say. They like to keep it real. So this is one of the things I'll teach more so than that, because if you understand the elements of the zodiac sign, I mean, the elements in nature, you can understand the zodiac sign of the person once you know. All righty. So let me get this out the way. All righty. So now let me continue with the comment section here. Let me see something. Let me go back. Okay. Jackie Washington, thank you, Lloyd, for all that you do. We appreciate you. Thank you very much to Jackie. Now, her name is spelled totally different. Now, Jackie, Jazz Aphrodite, has two eyes. She has one eye. So where Jackie's at the 34, your name, Jackie, adds to 25 because 2 plus 5 is 7. All right. So what that means, Jackie Washington, that more than likely one of your parents could have either been a Pisces or Cancer, or born on the 2nd, the 7th, the 11th, the 16th, the 20th, 25th, or 29th of the month. Or you could have married somebody, if you're married, let's say, under the sign of Pisces or Cancer, or born on one of those dates. Or you could have birthed children born under one of those signs. So I find that the name is very powerful, more than Shakespeare says in everything. Well, it is, numerically speaking, from my point of view. So, and 7 in the name indicates people who are very spiritual, they're very low key, they're very insightful, they're always a seeker of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. They also prefer to be their own best company, so you can't knock on the door like I'm in the neighborhood and I want to come and hang out. Normally, 7 in the name don't do hangouts that much, okay? Unless somebody's very close. So anyway, do I have a number where I can pay for a reading? Yes, if you want to get a reading with me, go to Lloyd. Hold up. I always forget to put up my, oh, here it is. I'm good. This is my banner, all right? You go to Lloyd-Strayhorn.com. I have a link called consultations. You click on that link and there's certain tiers that I have. You pick one of, some might want something of a couple of questions. Some might want something more extended. That choice is up to you, okay? Also on this link, you can get the free newsletter. You can pick up the Star 8 app too. So if you click on it, it will open it up to give you a choice of whether you're an Android user or an iPhone user to kind of download it into your phone. Okay, so these are it. Thanks for reminding me, because I forgot. I normally forget these things, but it's very important. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take something from what Jazz Aphrodite taught me, which is I'm going to put it on. Here we go, right there at the bottom. So for those of you who missed it, all the information is there. So I'll leave it there until the meantime. All righty, so let me get back to the comments there, okay? Let me see. Okay, now Bonetta says her name under the Pythagorean system equals a 16-7. Does that mean, Bonetta, that one of your parents is a Pisces or Cancer, or born on a date that adds to the single digit of a 2 or 7? It also indicates that maybe you, because see, here's the beautiful part, at least the way I break it down. Your month, day, and year is like the pupil, why you're here to learn. The term they use is destiny number, life path number, birth path number. But for doing this so many years and talking to people, you know, unless you're in what we do, you can say, oh, yes, I know what that means. But if you're talking to the average person who is not familiar with this science, metaphysical science at all, yeah, what does that mean? It's like working in a bank. Bankers got their own language. It's like talking to the mechanics. Mechanics got their own language. It's like talking to doctors. They got their own language. Well, we in the metaphysical world of astrology and numerology have our lingo too. So what I've learned how to do is keep it simple. So what I explained, that the month, the day, and the year you're born tells me why you are here. Symbolically, what grade you're in the school of life. So let's say Bonetta's name let's say the month, the day, and year you're born added up to a 7. I would say the month and day and year you're born says symbolically you're in the 7th grade in the school of life, which means what you're here to learn. The name, though, is like the teacher. It denotes your talents and gifts and skills and abilities. And the name is like the magnet. The magnet, in the sense that it draws certain zodiac signs to them, it draws certain birth dates to them as well. So if you find that even if one of your parents is not a Pisces or a Cancer or born on a 2 or 7, you might attract people born on one of the dates that's a 2 or 7, or you attract Cancers to you, or you attract Pisces to you, whatever the case is, all right? And that's how it works. So if I look at Victoria, if I look at Goddess, her name is Victoria. She says it adds up to an 8. Now, 8 in the name indicates people who are very serious-minded, no nonsense, often misunderstood because it's governed by Saturn, the winter planet, the planet of ancestry, okay, the planet of history, things of that nature. So it tells me there's a higher than average probability that one of her parents could either been a Capricorn or an Aquarius, or born on the 8th, the 17th, or the 26th. Or she could have married or attracted a Capricorn or an Aquarius, or a person born on the 8th, the 17th, or the 26th. Or she could have, in fact, had children under the signs of Capricorn or Aquarius, or born on a date to the 8th, the 17th, or the 26th of the month. So all of this is the research that I'm doing. You know, I've been doing this a long time, and it seems to fit. Now, it's not 100%. Nothing's 100% other than death and taxes. But over and above that, on a scale of 1 to 10, about 8 to 9. Sometimes maybe 7. Then there's sometimes where the parent, the name of the person don't match the parents. But guess what? The person will say, yeah, but my grandmother named me, and it matches her birthday, or my grandfather, or my aunt. So this is something I'm experimenting with and working on a project that clears it up. The name we have normally draws people to us, all right? And so this is why when I talk about relationships, your birthday indicates the physical attractions. I should say your name, the months represent, so in astrology and numerology, your months represent the physical attraction, but your date of birth represents the mental attraction. But I'll deal with that at another time on the relationship too. But it tells me this: you're very serious-minded, no nonsense goddess, very much into what you do, and you need to run a business, okay? So let's see what I got here. This is Bonita. Yes, I did that. She says her mother's a Scorpio. Her husband is a Pisces. See, there's Pisces. Okay, because I said 7 rules Pisces, 7 rules Cancer. And she's a Scorpio as well. So that means you're a water sign with a water name, which means deeply intuitive, Bonetta. Okay. Okay. So if you want to get a full reading, just go there, click on the link, and we'll set something up. Okay. Now, you said you go by the name Joyce. Now, this is very interesting too. The beauty of why I like Chaldean system versus Pythagorean, which is what you're learning in this segment. The Pythagorean system says technically, to do your name, you take the original name given at birth, okay? Well, I'm talking to adults for the most part. So in Hispanic cultures, for example, they will have 4 to 5 names running through the birth certificate because they're picking up their parents, their grandparents, or something, abuela, you know. So, but then they will go from 4 or 5 names on the birth certificate to just 2 names, okay? And so what I'm saying is, so although you say Mary, you could have been married, but the fact that they call you Joyce, that's very significant too. So if I was to do the name Joyce, for example, let me see something. So if I did the name Joyce, your name Joyce adds up to the number 1. So that tells me, Joyce, under this system, the Pythagorean system, one of your parents could have been a Leo or an Aquarius or in a minor way an Aries all born on a date that adds up to the single digit of a 1 or a 4. Like somebody born on the 13th, like today, 1 plus 3 is 4. Or somebody born on the 19th, 1 plus 9 is 10, 1 plus 0 is 1. But it also tells me from this name, Joyce, you would be a go-getter, as number ones don't like taking orders well. It adds up to 10, which is the wheel of fortune, which means your plans are likely to be carried out. It also tells me as a youngster, you may have thought about going into law, medicine, or science, or if not, run your own business or have some authority over others. Being pushed around is basically not your style. Okay, that's all I can tell you. Okay. And you can purchase Numbers in You here, my book. Also, Jazz Aphrodite, if you don't mind, can you put down how people can purchase your products or services, please? Okay, that would be good. All right, Cece, they said their name given is Cheryl, C-H. Now, that's interesting. Now, that's a different way of spelling Cheryl, okay? Cheryyle. Well, that name, Cheryl, spelled this way, is a number 4, which is correct. You're absolutely correct. It adds up to a 40, which is reduced. And so it's an air element. And what it means is perhaps one of your parents, CC, could have been an Aquarius or Leo, in a minor way, a Gemini. These are some of the laws of astrology that I use that makes exceptions for the rule, all born on a date that adds up to a 1 or a 4. So that's very important to understand it. It also tells me you like to be your own best company. 4s and 7s have one thing in common. They don't like being in the limelight that much. They prefer to stay under the radar. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of keep it like that, for example. And it tells me you like to think outside the box too. So in the case of Letitia, let me see something. Latisha. Well, Letitia is a number 7, spelled under the Chaldean system. The Pythagorean system. So there's a lot of 7s, a lot of spirituality in this. So in other words, 7s, as I said, they're a seeker of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. They always like to go down the rabbit hole. So and I always jokingly tell a woman with a 7 in her name or birthday, if a guy says, Letitia, I'm in love with you, it's not that you don't want to hear that. It sounds very validating in that sense. But you would ask me, why am I in love with you? Why? My money, my hair, my job, my career, what? And when you get to that bottom line, then you feel much better about it. So that's what it is too. So it tells me then too, one of your parents could have been a Pisces or Cancer, or born on a date that adds up to the 2 or the 7 of the month. All right. So Jana, that's Yana. Now Yana, the name Yana is an 8, okay, under the Pythagorean system. All righty. And so what happens is she's got a lot of fire numbers. Out of 4 letters in her name, 3 of them on the fire, which is J is a 1, and I's are 1s. So she's got 3 fire numbers and 1 air number. So fire and air are very good. Fire represents people who like to take charge. They don't take orders well. The fact that Yana, spelled this way, is a number 8, is a business number, executives. And in fact, Yana Woodhouse, and I'm going to have featured as my guest on the show soon, was one of the first women of color to work on Wall Street. Now, Wall Street was founded on the 17th of the month. 1 plus 7 is 8. And her name is an 8. She has a successful tax business, things of that nature. So 8 are your executives, your real estates, your CEOs, CFOs, things like that. They normally does well in the world of business. Real estate also in particular. They tend to be fascinated with these kinds of things. 8, on the other hand, tend to be misunderstood. So Yana's name indicates, since it rules the sign of Capricorn and Aquarius, one of her parents could have been a Capricorn or an Aquarius, all born on the 8th, 17th, or 26th. She may say, well, Lloyd, My parents, I wasn't named after my parents didn't name me. My grandmother named me. My aunt named me. My uncle named me. So I've noticed that if I don't get the zodiac signs of one of the parents or their dates of birth, almost always it's a third party relative that says, this would be the name, or I want to name them this person. So thanks very much. In fact, I'm going to have her on my show very soon talking about finances, because we're going into a very crazy period. There's no question. So if I look at the name Mark, M-A-R-K, believe it or not, Mark under the Pythagorean system adds to a 7. So it's 7 in the house today. That's all I can say, which is very interesting. So Mark, most people who are 7s are normally very independent. They like to stand out on their own. They don't take orders well. That is normally not their MO. They are very, what I call very individualistic, okay? They can be very sarcastic if you rub them the wrong way, too. So if they don't get it, then they will make sure you do. And normally 7s are experts in their field, too. Whatever they do, they master it very, very well, okay? So let's do Michelle Wiggs. Michelle, 1 birthday, 11/8, mom, 5. Do you need last name? No, I don't need the last name. But I can tell you this. If I look at, you spell your first name, there's something I'm doing here. I'm going to add this to my M-I-C-H-E-L-E. Now that adds up to number 1, Michelle spelled this way. If I do another L to it, it would have added to 14. There's 2 ways of spelling the name Michelle, like 24 ways of spelling the name Catherine with a C, with a K, whatever the case is. So Michelle spelled this way indicates very independent. One of your parents could have been a Leo, or an Aquarius, or born on the 1st. Now notice her father's born on the 1st, okay? And see, the number 1 is interchangeable with the 4. The mother's born on the 4, okay? The daughter is born on a 7. It's interesting, your daughter is totally different. Now, for you, Michelle, with a 1 name, you're born on the 8th of November. So 8 is a business number, 1 is a business number, which means preferably you should think in terms of having your own business, or have been a manager, supervisor, director, or has some position of authority. And let's say, for example, you've never had a position of authority. Well, at work, everybody says, you see Michelle over there? Don't go mess with her. Don't go thinking you can talk to her any kind of way you want to and think it's going to fly. It's not going to happen. But I just think it's interesting. The name Michelle spelled this way under the Pythagorean system adds up to a 10, or it adds up to 37. 3 plus 7 is 10. The wheel of fortune, and 1 plus 0 is 1. Again, it's a 1, 4. These are interchangeable numbers. Okay, so if I see 4, I attach a 1. If I see 1, I attach a 4. With the moon numbers, it's the same. If I see a 2, I attach a 7. If I see a 7, I attach the 2. So in this case, a 1, 4 name, therefore, it's so interesting. The mom is a 4, the father's a 1. So these are things I'm doing in my research. See, and I've never seen these in books. That's why I'm saying y'all are helping me very, very much figure this out, so I can kind of make sure when I work on this next project, it's based upon some research, which is why my book is called Numbers in You, based upon that too. Now, the next name is Armand, A-R-M-A-N-D. Now, Armand, the name Armand adds up to a 6. All right. So it tells me, Armand, that more than likely one of your parents could have either been a Taurus or Libra, or born on the 6th, the 15th, or the 24th of the month. As I tell to all people, and you will find if you can get these 3 questions, it gives you a better sense of who you are. 1, who named you? More importantly, why did they name you? What does it mean? Which is the 3rd category. But I can tell you this, and it's so interesting because you're born in the 6th month, you're born on the 29th, your numbers are the 2, 7, and 6. So that means with your name being a 6, and it tells me influential will always be of help to you because the compound number adds up to 24, and it means help through influential women, which is how you may have gotten your job, found your place where you live. It's not that the men don't help you too, but almost always. And then see you born under a feminine sign with a feminine number. So it tells me either work around a lot of women or have women supervisors, okay? And so you're the kind I would jokingly say women can be your blessing and your curse. But I noticed you got all those 9s running through your name. You're a water sign with a water number, and yet you got all those fire digits. 9s and 1s are fire. So it tells me that sometimes it all depends on what day of the week they catch you on, Armand, in that sense. Okay. But I tell you this, the number 2 is a psychic number, the 6 is a psychic number. And if you notice, one of your gifts is the ability to read people very, very well, which is why, again, so if you're very popular with the ladies, it don't mean you're a player, okay? It just simply means you just get along with them. You seem to understand them. And then there's some that understand you, and that's a blessing and a curse. But anyway, but all your numbers, 2, 7, and 6 are all psychic numbers. So if you got into what I do and other of my colleagues in the metaphysical and astrological world, you would be just as good at this as we are. All righty. So thanks very much for that. Okay, this is interesting. Now, Jay Jackson. So it's Joy, Cornelia. Well, if I did Joy, for example, I would imagine, it all depends on what name they call you now. So it's Jay Jackson. So I figure it's Joy. So that would be J-O-I. So J-O-I, that would add up to, let's see here. The name Joy would add up to a 7. Okay. So again, it would reflect that whoever named you that part could have been a Pisces or Cancer, or born on a date that adds up to a 2 or a 7. The fact that you're born under, now it's very interesting. Aquarius or February is one of those weird months. First of all, it rules the number 4, which is why it's weird. How so? Well, February is the only month that's the shortest of the months. Most months are either 30 days or 31 days. Not February is 28 days. And then every 4 years, notice that, then there's the 29th. So it all depends on the year you were born and where you were born, because sometimes Aquarius ends on the 18th and then it can end on the 19th, okay? Or Pisces can start as early as the 18th or the 19th. But see, this is why an astrologer needs to know where you were born, what time you were born, and so they can figure it out, because you could be 30 degrees Aquarius or 1 degree Pisces. So it all depends. But anyway, the name Joy is a 7. So it tells me very, very individualistic, okay? Did I do the name Victoria? If I did, so Victoria. Okay, I know this is getting a little monotonous, but Victoria adds up to a 7. Maybe that's why you'll be tuning in every week, okay? Except she's a fire sign with a fire number, okay? But I'm looking at the fact that she's got several numbers in her name. She's got 4 fire numbers. No, she's got 5 fire numbers, a water number, earth number, and an air number, but it's mostly fire. So that means, Victoria, that this name tells me that not only are you very intuitive, but you're very forthright with it too. And what does her name means? Victorious, and her father named me, okay? So that means in that case, was your father therefore a Pisces or Cancer, or born on a date that adds up to a 2 or a 7, okay? Now, Iya says their first name adds up to a 1, first and last name adds up to a 4. They were born on the 4th of the month. I was named by my mom. My name means mother, okay? So you did not put what month and day to give me the sign. You were born on the 4th of the month, but there are 12 months out of the year to be born on the 4th. And then that would give a clue too. But it tells me since it's a 4 and your name adds up to a 1, that one of your parents could have been a Leo, Aquarius, Aries, or born on a date that adds up to a 1 or a 4, like you born on the 4th day of the month. I think we did the name Joyce. And okay, so let's see. This is, now this person here is named Chantel. Okay. Chantel. Now the name Chantel spelled this way adds up to a number 9, Chantel. Okay. It's so interesting. 9 governs the sign of Scorpio, which is your sign. It governs the sign of Aries and a minor way Leo, which means one of your parents could have been under one of those signs of Leo. It's first Aries first, since it's a 9, Aries followed by Scorpio, or in a minor way Leo, or born on the 9th, the 18th, or the 27th of the month. So if I could get that feedback, that would be nice. But I tell you this, even the year you were born in 1980 adds up to 18, which is a 9. You're born under the sign of Scorpio, which is a 9, and 1s and 9s are like real tight with each other. You know what I'm saying? So with this name, Chantel, you got, Muriel, it tells you do not take orders well at all. Taking orders is not your middle name, that I can tell you. And so what it tells me is you would be like there's a famous comic that used to live in Harlem named Moms Mabley. And she had this famous quote, said, the only thing a woman can do for her is bring her a man. I would say, Chantel, that's kind of you, righty? In other words, you get along better with the male species. I'm sure you got some girlfriends, but I'm sure the list is short where the males are long. You know what I'm saying? Things of that nature. And I noticed with 9 in a woman's name or birthday or zodiac sign, they tend to, along their course of their life, tend to attract men in uniform. So if you dated or married a policeman or a person in the military or a person that wore a uniform, whether it's security, whether it's fire, whether it's construction, that would not surprise me. But it tells me you're very direct and to the point. So people will think you're mean. No, you're honest. So if somebody's a knucklehead, it just happened to be a knucklehead. And I would say this, from your name, you sleep pretty good at night. Okay. Now, this person is Kiana. Kianna. Did I do that right? Kianna. That adds up to a 5. So since 5 is your name, it tells me that one of your parents could have been a Gemini or Virgo, or born on the 5th, 14th, or 23rd. Since 5 governs air, and I see you got 2 5s in your name, you got fire numbers, you got the K, 9 is I is a 9, which is fire. A's and 5s, 1s are fire numbers, 2s are air numbers. So you got mostly fire and air elements in your name. And so that's what that would tell me. And it also indicates too, again, one of your parents could have either been under this, let me see, who, I guess Kyoda is your, I would imagine, your daughter. I'm not sure. Or a younger relative. But nonetheless, though, you're born on May 17th, which is, and in fact, it's interesting, your name adds up to a 5, and you were conceived in the year of the 5. You were conceived in 1994. Again, as I say, which is none of our business. In fact, you were conceived in August of 1994. And then you got here 9 months later on the 17th of May. So again, so it could also include maybe one of your parents could have been a fire sign with a fire number 2. But I tell you this, with these 5s and your name adding up to a 5, you do well in sales, business, science, commerce, communications. Patience is not your strongest point. You normally don't like repeating yourself too many times. And so that would make all the sense in the world. But your numbers, your earth sign with an earth number. So it means you're very, very pragmatic. That is for sure. Now, next, I'm going to do the name. Now, this is interesting because with the name, it all depends on the person. Some people like to have this name Deborah, or some like to have it Deborah, but nonetheless, it's spelled Deborah. Now, that adds up to an 8. 8 is an executive number. So since Deborah or Deborah, or depending on how you say your name, adds up to an 8, it tells me there's a higher than average probability one of your parents was either a Capricorn or an Aquarius, or born on the 8th, the 17th, or the 26th of the month. All righty. And it's interesting. You have an earth. 8 rules the element of earth. You're born in an earth sign with a water number. So it means very pragmatic. 8s normally represent people who have a business mindset. You don't have to be in business, but normally they kind of think like that. They think logical. They want to own property. And so since you have an earth name with an earth sign, it tells me if you had your choice about the matter, you prefer to live on a piece of land rather than in a kind of like a high rise or an apartment building or things of that nature. And it tells me very serious minded, but very warm and loyal and faithful once people understand. All righty. So I'm going to take a couple of more. Let me see. It says, have I ever heard about name reading in the metaphysics and Akashic way? Yes, there are. There's so many art forms to doing this. And there's more schools of reading a name other than Pythagorean, other than the Chaldean. Okay. There's Japanese. I have a book on Japanese numerology. There's one on African numerology. There's a lot. It all depends. But I focus primarily here because we're here in what is called the West. All righty. Now, I will meet people from abroad in the Middle East, Africa, other parts of the world. You know, it seems to work. But normally they will have a birthday in one part of the world, but they come here, they have another birthday in this part of the world. So it's very interesting. And if you want to download my app, please go to a Star 8 app. You can either go directly to the app or go to LLoyd-Strayhorn.com and click on the Star 8 link to do this. All right. And you'll get a lot of information. All right. Now, Kayla says her name is a 7. She even did her last name wet rhyme, which is a 6, and for a full name, it's an 8. So it's very, very interesting, as before we wrap this up, how many people's first name adds up to a 7. So maybe that's why y'all tune in all the time. You know what I'm saying? It could be. And so it tells me very analytical. You have 1, 2, 3, 4 fire numbers. That's very proactive. That tells me that although your basic approach is very sensitive, although it's made of the 11th letter, that tells me more very visionary, very kind of the way you focus on things and look at things on a high level, but it's backed by all that fire. So people may underestimate you until they really get to know you. I do want to do my man, Steven, and out of Chicago, Steven. Stephen adds up to the master number 22, which is a 4. So Stephen likes to be different. You know, there's a lot of things going out your way in Chicago, which I ain't telling you, you don't know already. All right. But 4s, people like to think outside the box. The master number 22 just takes it to another level. The reason why they become known as master numbers, because they are masters of what they do. They develop this mastership, this ability of reaching an expertise at a higher level. So it's not just master numbers, because they master their craft. They master their goals. They master their objective. That is how they work for the most part. All righty. So what I'm going to do is I am going to have a guest on Wednesday. In fact, this is the gentleman. Let me show you. I met him when I was in London. Okay. His name is Israel. Okay. He has a very popular podcast talking about the moon. And I was interviewed on his show just before I reached London. And he introduced me to this astrology store. There's a picture that we took. I'll show you too. But a beautiful brother. He's going to be my guest on this Wednesday from 7 to 8. And so have your birthdays ready again. So I do want to thank everybody. My information is running at the bottom of the screen. So before I go, let me acknowledge all of my sponsors, which is definitely King Simon, my buddy. He is, let me see, let me take this off a second. Okay. King Simon, he will be here on, oops, let me do Stephen. Okay, thanks. So he's going to have a very special celebration of guests here in New York at Nicholas Brooklyn at 1396 Fulton Street, November 15th and 16th. Okay, so please join us. I think he's 33 years. That's where you get that figure from. He's been doing this 33 years. Wow, they're all catching up with me. But anyway, that is his thing there. So please be in attendance. Also, Nicholas Brooklyn celebrating over 50 years there at 1396 Fulton Street. And this Saturday, they're going to have a thing about physical fitness. It's about really, no, you ain't got to be kicking. It ain't that kind of party. It's just, that's an illustration, but it's more to it than just kind of banging on things and stuff like that. But please be in attendance this Saturday, the 18th, from 12 to 8 p.m. Also, my good buddy, Uchenna Hackett, that just came out with his book. His book doesn't seem to be in a printed form yet, but it is definitely available in the ebook form. So if you go to Amazon, I think it's $0. You know what I'm saying? If not 99 cents, but definitely make sure you pick up a copy of his book. Also, to Manifest on Purpose, Ms. Kimberly, she has just herself published a book. It's so interesting. These two published their book 1 month apart, exactly to the day, practically. So all you got to do is go to Amazon, purchase her book, read it, give a review, take a screenshot of that review, send it in to her. And if you have a business, she will actually do a profile on you. She's also developed a companion book. So somewhere in December, I'm going to have her back on talking about the companion book. So for those of you who may have worked on a job for so long and said, well, what else? Now that I've been terminated, what else I can do? Well, that's what the playbook is designed to do, to give you multiple choices of activities you can venture into. Also, Linda Valentine, bless her soul, she has her services that she offers, 302-492-7722, $10 off when you purchase her journal. Now, she's written 4 elements. This one is an air journal. So it's air, reflection, earth, water, or whatever the case is. And now I'm getting something. She attached something for the first part. Well, I will get it. She says she's attached the first part of the book for review and write a forward introduction. I really pray that you like the book. Oh, I see. This is for something else she's working on. But anyway, also Recept, who is my new sponsor. And also, please pick up a copy of Jazz Aphrodite's book, Knocking from the Inside, that's available on audio. Okay, it is available now. And beginning on the 8th of next month, she and my good buddy Eric Taylor will be putting together kind of a workshop for you. It's going to be nice of astrology, numerology, cardology. So it's going to be very good. For those of you, yes, it's still not quite mid-October, so you can still pick up the free newsletter, the monthly newsletter. And so when you get it in your email, it looks like this. But at the top right, you'll see that it says to view it, because when you're scrolling down, it'll only scroll down to Leo. Then it'll appear to stop, it cut off. So people have asked me, where's the rest of it? So just go to the top right, click on it, and then you can see all the signs. Everything opens up for you. And if you'd like to see the audio portion of the video, Ms. Kimberly and I provide that each month as well, too. So with that being said, I want to thank you. And by the way, please pick up a Star 8 app, which should be greatly appreciated. And that will be it. I want y'all to all have a very nice day. Take good care of yourselves. And I will see you in 2 days with my very distinguished gentleman from the UK, Israel Jose. All righty. A very interesting brother. And in fact, I think it's his birthday. He's a Libra. And I do believe it's his birthday on the 15th. So we'll see if I'm not mistaken. I know he's a Libra 6 person, so I think I got it right. Anyway, you'll all have a nice day. Thank you so, so much. And all of you take good care of yourselves. All righty? Bye.